Hi, and welcome again to another edition of Daily US Pre-Market Analysis. I'm Gio, your host. Let me get started with the disclaimer. The information, context, opinions which are expressed in the presentation and on the following slides are solely those of the presenter and not necessarily those of Vantage, and are solely used for educational purposes as they do not constitute investment advice and or consultation on how a client should trade. Vantage does not guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information provided herein. All right, I'm your host, Gio Benacore, a senior market analyst, market educator, and demonstrator of strategies with Vantage, bringing with me over 20 years of experience as a commodity trader. I hold a Series 3 license and also a CMT candidate. The agenda, we're going to be looking at the economic calendar, what's moving the markets, identifying key levels of support and resistance levels, and trading with Fibonacci tools. We obviously be looking for trades. About Vantage real quick, our ecosystem, we offer over 1,000 instruments, over 100 chart patterns, over 100 technical and drawing tools, offering CFDs on Forex, indices, shares, commodities, and cryptocurrencies. Welcome Sunil, welcome Madi Salam, welcome Celine. All right, and why Vantage, what we stand for? Lightning fast execution, award-winning 24-hour support, intuitive tools, global connectivity, and strict regulation. All right, I like to begin with sharing some of my ideas. I like to have identified clear, consistent trading habits. Being comfortable with the prospect of losing money if the market goes against you is recommended. Also, I like to emphasize risk management. I believe that every trader that begins working on preserving capital will be a trader that will last throughout time. So using percentage values rather than dollar values is highly recommended. Between 1 and 2% of your trading capital per trade. So $100, if you have a $10,000 account, you're risking 1% of that. So per trade, you're looking to risk 100 to obtain at least 2 or 3 times that much. Then volatility can spike and spreads can wind, so reducing leverage is highly recommended. And the use of stop loss, it is highly recommended, and that's something that we will be using throughout today's trading session. Also, looking at having a trading plan where you have identified the trend, timing the entry and the exit points, risk management, confirmation, and validation. And then just to get started, because I believe that it's important that we have a shared common vocabulary for what is technical analysis. So I'm going to start there. Now, is it just a form of data visualization? Well, obviously, charting, displaying marked data in lots of different data visualization modes is a big part of where technical analysis came from. But you do got to go back a couple of 100 years to the rice pits of Osaka, Japan, for a gentleman named Monohisa Homa, who invented the Japanese candlesticks as a way to try to capture all of the behavior of traders in those rice pits. We, of course, advanced the discipline over hundreds of years, and there's lots of different chart types, but I'm going to argue to you now is that technical analysis is far more than just collecting data and displaying it in a way that we can interpret a lot of information quickly. That is part of it, but if you look at definitions from some of the very early texts from the 1920s, 1930s, said technical analysis is about the study of the market itself. All of that price action, all of the investor behavior, everything that is happening in an open, freely traded market is part of our discipline. And I love that definition because it is quite broad, and hopefully through today's session, you'll understand just how broad the depth of study you'll go through. We also know that technical analysis is the study of that supply and demand relationship we care a lot about, the behavior and the psychology of investors, and it's one of the hardest things to quantify when you're thinking about investment decisions. I'll argue that is all represented in this beautiful little element called price, which we can call it also a systematic evaluation and systems. The reason I'm bringing this quote up is a lot of us have heard about algorithmic trading, high frequency. You might be an advanced programmer, you might know Python or R or many other languages, and that is an important way to express some of the ideas. But even if you're not a coder, you're not an algo trader, you should be thinking in terms of systems, a rules-based, repeatable approach. And that's something that was drilled into me as I spent surrounded by some of the best money managers in the business, is that they have a defined, repeatable process or a system that they follow no matter what the market is doing. All right, quick refresher from your Economy 101 class. Remember, at a fixed rate of supply, an increase in demand is going to move us up the price equilibrium, or a decrease in demand will move price down the equilibrium. So when we're thinking about an open, freely traded market, demand, greed of investors is inherently pushing prices up, and fear or selling pressure is going to push price down because it's a fixed supply. And I want you to hold that thought in your mind, because it is perhaps one of the most important parts of the magic that we're trying to unlock here, or the message of the market that we are trying to decode, which is related to the learning that if you take emotion, the would be or the could be or the should be out of your decision making, and you look at just what is happening, and you can quantify that, you have a big advantage over most human beings. And I will argue for all of us in the investment discipline, there's a lot of emotion tied to those trading decisions that we make each and every day. And those emotional impacts our decision making can be very negative. So the more you can remove your emotional and cognitive bias from your decision making, the better chance you have of staying on the right side of trends. All right, so now that we've done that, I'm going to start sharing my charts, and I'm going to start sharing my charts actually. So let's see. All right, in front of you, you should be seeing now my charts. We are facing a daily candlestick charts of the Nasdaq. Looking at the fluctuation, let's take a look before at what we are looking for economic calendar today. So today we basically have a speech by the Fed coming out at 11:35 Eastern time. So that will probably bring some volatility to the market. And then tomorrow is pretty quiet day for the U.S. And then we have the GDP on Thursday, and on Friday the PCE, the Fed's preferred numbers. So let's take a look at what we can expect for today's market fluctuation. 25,000 was that psychological milestone for the market, for the Nasdaq at least. It has reached it. Yesterday it was reached. Today we have done a little bit more of fluctuation to the upside. Now, being that we have been overextended in the technology part, and we basically are already finalizing the earnings season, which basically, let's take a look at the earnings season for today. Let's see which big companies are still. There's like 3 left companies left out for reporting. So let's take a look and see. I know AutoZone was one of them, so that's a pretty big company. Yep, AutoZone is reporting, so that could probably bring some fluctuation. And Micron Technology is also reporting, so that'll bring some volatility to the markets, but specifically just to the Dow. So let's take a look at what we can expect for today into this new territory again. For the Nasdaq. So I'm going to use my fib trend based extension to identify a possible extension of this rally, and using obviously our values, I'm actually gonna add some other ones that I'm not seeing here. Let me see what. Let's see. Okay. How come they're not bringing? Okay. So let's just use a value that will bring sense to us. 2060, and then the golden proportion. So then we have our levels for resistance for today. 24,900. I'm gonna give that space for the market, and then I'm gonna use yesterday's swing low because the market could pull back, do a correction. Let's see how much of this momentum to the upside will be held. So we're gonna do the same for all of our assets for today using this tool. The extension, the golden proportion, and then I'm just gonna use psychological values for resistance levels, support. I'm actually gonna use our retracement tool and use the Fibonacci values, golden proportion, so we can define those levels of support for today. There you go. Let's go look at the Dow. Also, 47,000. I mean, yesterday the market moved 86 pips, and the high of this today is 46,793. I mean, the market has moved. I mean, like for example, this gap up. So 47,000 by the end of by Friday, that could be a possibility. So let's just use our tools. Now that's quite extended. Wow, that's pretty extended. Actually, it's right there. So I'm gonna use that, and then 46,900 because this is way too extended. But 47,000 for the Dow. Can that happen? Well, let's see. Probably by Friday, 47,000 by Friday for the Dow, or is that too much? Well, on Friday we do have the PCE, so that could bring some volatility to the market. So we'll find out. All right, then we have here our levels. Crude oil yesterday rejecting $62, so that's psychological support right there. Then I'm just gonna do a 50-cent range. All right, then we have $64 to the upside, and then 64.5, which is basically almost what this candle opened on the 17th. I saw momentum to the upside being built. Reversal. Nat gas continue to push lower. So let's see if $2.70 will be where the market finds that support, that floor. I'm gonna use 22, and then yesterday's opening range. So selling nat gas, buying crude oil, gold, parabolic movement, 3,800, right around the corner. So 4,000. Will we see 4,000 soon? How soon can we see 4,000? Now, silver. Then we have here 43.50. So the all-time high for silver is 50, the futures market. So $43. I'm gonna use this psychological, pushing higher. And then all-time high for copper is 5. and change. So can we get there? How soon can we get to $5 on copper? This is a pretty wild swing though. I mean, I think I'm actually going to use 459. Now swing low, today's swing low, first level of support, and then yesterday's swing low, second level of support. Bitcoin, pretty wild move on Bitcoin, so I'm gonna tighten up my level of resistance. Yesterday's opening, leave the same level there, and then we have here the euro looking to push higher above 118. Let's see if it'll be able to do that. So I'm actually gonna use today's, no, a bit higher than that, 182.300. And now I'm also going to push higher, 117.600, and then yesterday's swing low. The pound, nice recovery on the pound. It seems to be moving higher, so let's use that. And then these 136, I'm actually going to tighten up with yesterday's swing low, and then 134 is too far out. I think the market is going to recover. So 134.300-ish, second level of support. And the dollar index, of course, we want this puppy to drop so we can see more of a fluctuation to the downside on other assets. 96.600 jumps at me. All right, so now that we have identified our levels of support and resistance for today's range, now what I like to do, I'm gonna break down my time frame. Now go down to an hourly rate. We already identified those levels of support and resistance for all of the 12 assets that I follow here. And in this hour time frame, what I look for is where have those spikes, where have those swing highs, swing lows have been, if there has been any. Are there any type of chart patterns being built in this time frame? And right across the board, we understand that 25,000 being that milestone psychological level and new all-time high is where the market has been fluctuating around after reaching that milestone. So we can come and comprehend that even though the market did break out with a momentum to the upside, hitting that psychological value, it was expected for a small pullback, profit taking to take place, but it has been there for quite some time. In this hourly time frame, we see that the market has been around the 25,000 marker quite some time. So what the direction will be? Is it going to continue to push higher, or is it going to do a correction? I'm going to go for the latter, a correction, a pullback. Again, the market has been overextended, okay, and the earnings season is already coming down. So things that will derail this rally will usually be today's Fed shares conversation, his speech. Throughout his speech, we'll see volatility. If he hints that there's going to be another rate cut, that he will continue to cut rates, we'll see then a continuation of this rally, because the indices they love interest rate cuts. So we'll most likely will continue to see that push to the upside. All right. The same thing that take a look at the S&P, new territory, new all-time highs. So around this level, the market is waiting for that decision, waiting for that speech. The Dow has a closer level of importance. I mean, the S&P 7,000 for the S&P, that should be reachable as far as we continue to see this interest rate cuts. And then for the Dow, 47,000, that's going to be Can we see 47,000 by the end of the month on the Dow? 7,000 for the S&P. Yeah, 25,000 has been met on the Nasdaq. So that's already it could continue to move higher, obviously. But let's see if this particular asset here, which in this time frame, the Dow is actually making a small ascending triangle, if you will. So basically doing something like this. Okay. And we usually want to be able to measure the opening of this triangle, right? And see, just to measure, have a kind of a guidance of how far up will the asset break out if it continues to move higher, or if it breaks down, where can we come in and speculate? And if you look at this, you see that that the opening of this particular pattern, where it ends, or the low of it, is a level of support. It's a level of support. So basically, what I'm saying is that if the market decides to break down, we'll see market fluctuating to the downside, and from here do a reversal. Gosh, let me see on the reversal, but this thing is not allowing me. Okay, and do something like this. Could that be happening the case? That could probably be the case. All right, or it could just break out and continue to move, to the upside. So let's see what will happen. We have two choices right there to enter the market long or short. Now, when the market opens, let's see what will happen in 8 minutes. All right, we have crude oil breaking out in rally mode. $64 is our target. See if we will reach that. We said that, okay, so nat gas has been fluctuating to the downside and basically also flattish like the other assets. Gold is the one that is looking to hit that 3,800 psychological value. So once this value is hit, the next one will be 4,000. So looking to hit that 3,800 today. Silver, nice momentum to the upside in this particular hour. It is in correction mode, but that's profit taking. Then we have here copper also pushing higher. But let's see what will happen. Then we have Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just right now actually doing a symmetrical triangle. So that means in the section of the market is doing lower highs and higher lows. So that's in the section of the market. A great setup for a breakout or breakdown. And then we'll take a look at the currencies. Not much of a direction. It's just doing more of a fluctuation around the 118 candle. So that's holding steadily. Take a look at the pound. All right, the pound is getting ready to do a breakout with this fluctuation to the upside. Can that be the case? Well, that will happen if we see that the dollar index just plummets. So it's created a bottom right here above 96.80. Let's see what will happen. All right, so now that I have looked at an hourly time frame, I go down to 5 minutes and I turn on my fractals and I turn on my VWAP. I like trading off the VWAP. It gives me a direction of the market. It shows me, first of all, that volume weighted average price, which is what the VWAP is, which is the blue line, and it gives me a 1 standard deviation bands, upper band and lower band. So market, when we do have a running market like we have here in the Nasdaq, we see how the market fluctuates within the band, and so you can obviously just wait for the reversal, right, and take your trades. That's what we do a lot. Let's take a look at the S&P. It's fluctuating to the sideways. The one that I'm looking at is the Dow, because it was giving us a possible breakout. So in this scenario, we're not inside the bands. So with the direction of the market, or with the sentiment of the market, is to move to the upside. So let's see if that will be the case for this puppy. Hold on for 1 second. Let me just, all right. So there we go. All right, so in the futures market, gold has already surpassed 3,800. It's actually 3,824. So chances are that we do get, obviously on the CFDs, we get the 3,800 marker. Then we have crude oil outside of the band, outside of the VWAP. All right, so nat gas is inside the VWAP. It fluctuated to the upside after making this low back into the VWAP. So let's see. This would have been obviously a possible entry setup long on nat gas, fluctuating above the VWAP, closing above the VWAP. But this candle right here, right now, is actually just a little bit of red pushing the lower. So in the range of the expansion of the band, it's not that it's not giving me that much of momentum. So perhaps we can wait, or what I would like to do here actually is just wait for this candle to stay above the VWAP and then enter long on the next one, and target will be the band, psychological value 280. Gold, all right, so gold here on this time frame, like I said, it's outside the VWAP, but pushing higher. So let's see how much higher we're gonna be able to see gold. 3,800 hitting gold today. That will be a great opportunity. Silver, all right, silver's also just not really giving us too much of this particular part. Let's see. Copper. All right, so copper penetrated the VWAP, but the reversal, it didn't hit the VWAP right off it to reverse it. Something like this, more of a to touch a line and then bounce off of it. Now, can this happen again without touching the VWAP? It seems to be doing so. So let's see what will happen. The Bitcoin. All right, so 113 right up the upper band. So all right, so the euro 118. That's the pivot point. Psychological. Pound retracing. Well, the dollar index. So the dollar seems to be looking to recoup. Let's see how much of a pull of recuperation can we see here, or can this be the leg that just drops it? Take a look at Nasdaq again. 25,000 is our level of interest. The market is fluctuating to the upside, above, below. So will the market, when it opens in a few minutes, will the market just break down? Obviously 25,000. I'm gonna go yes. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna go yes that the market will break down when it opens. It'll give us a strong fluctuation to the downside. Let's see. Profit taking, obviously, and then it could probably recoup. Now this could also just reverse right now and then just shoot up. But the 25,000 milestone has been met, and profit taking obviously can be taking place. But now that the market opens in about 30 seconds, will the market just continue to run to the upside and hit new targets? That could be the case. 25,000 is a strong level, a psychological level. So let's see what will happen. Let's see if the market will give us that direction, or is it just gonna be basically, you know, losing its footing and just drop. Let's see. Market open. Fluctuation is to the downside at first. Nice spike. Tug of war. Profit taking. Repositioning. This will be interesting. So, like I said, initially at the open, fluctuation to the downside. Rejection at 25,000. Profit taking also, because for those who left their positions open overnight, obviously they might have closed it already, but let's see how much more lower can we expect. We hit the lower band, and it was previously this level of congestion volume cluster here. So once it penetrates that, then we could contemplate, come down towards this low right here, this fractal low, and from there come down to the next fractal low and see if that will be the case. But this also could just recoup and just fluctuate higher above to make another all-time high, a new all-time high, because right now the all-time high, it's 25,000 and change. But you see how in this time frame the market is pushing lower, just pushing lower, pushing lower, pushing lower, pushing lower. Let's see. It'll continue to push lower. 24,980 psychological round value. That's what I'm contemplating, speculating that's going to happen. That's what it's showing. You see, it broke down. So you could be right, you could be wrong, but basically what you want to have is use your common sense. First of all, market is overextended, making new all-time highs consistently. Second of all, we do have a speech today. Third of all, earnings season is basically ended this week, ends this week. Fourth, the only positive thing is obviously the interest rate cuts, but that's not, it's already happened, that's already factored in. So can we just stay and fluctuate around 25,000? That could also be the case. So we have a strong, we're creating a pretty tight range so far in these 5 minutes, but we want 15 minutes to 30 minutes of fluctuation so we can see where those ranges are, and then we can come in and figure out how to trade for today. So let's see how much more. Where will this candle close? Will this candle close outside of the VWAP, or will the candle close around the VWAP, close to the VWAP, or outside of the VWAP to the upside? Still have a minute 27 left on this candle, and positioning we do have in this 5-minute candle. Let's take a look. Where actually that all-time high is 25,025. That's a pretty 25. Yeah, 25. Hey, 2025. Kind of rhymes. All right, so we're rhyming here, pushing higher. Ooh, is this going to go towards the 2025? That'll be in this time frame. Ooh, yep, looking strong, mighty strong. The market pushing higher. I'm just gonna stay here for these few seconds left, and we'll start moving forward on the other assets. I just want to see where this candle is gonna close. If it's gonna close at 25,000, below 25,000, or above 25,000. and it seems to be that it will close below 25,000. Let's see, and it's pushing lower, so it'll close below 25,000. So move momentum to the downside as speculated. So let's see. All right, let's take a look at the other assets. See, the S&P had a pretty much wider move, if you will, and it's continuing to push higher. So let's see, we hit that resistance level. Our fractals and our VWAP is not populating that fast, but it was outside anyhow. Take a look at Dow. Oh, whoa, 47,000 might be breached today because this is a strong momentum to the upside. A breakout. Wow, that was a nice move to the upside. Great momentum, great trade. This one would have been. All right, so 47,000 is right around the corner. All right, crude oil looking to push higher. We don't have a opportunity yet to take a trade because I use the VWAP. Let me take a look at the Bollinger Band, because it's also I use the Bollinger Band, but it's taking some time to load, to populate. There's so much interest right now applied that, yeah, so we're pushing higher. So all right, then we have nat gas. It was a sell at the beginning, but no. Our gold to reach 3,800. Then we have silver looking to continue to climb. Right? Copper, breakdown on copper. Breakdown on copper. Copper is all right, so most likely it'll find some support at 456. Bitcoin, yes, those wild swings of Bitcoin. The euro, the euro is breaking down. Euro is breaking down. That index is pushing higher. So let's see. I mean, if this momentum is strong enough and this candle closes below the band, the lower band, entering a short position of the next candle toward in targeting this lower fractal around 117.8050 will be a good trade. It could be a good trade, I should say. All right. Also, the pound is breaking down. Dollar index must be catching a bid, and that's what it's looking to do so far. So let's see at the dollar index. Oh yeah, this puppy is pushing higher, making higher highs, higher lows, intraday uptrend. So 97 psychological level. Then we have our VWAP penetration, the VWAP fluctuation. So if this could, let's see, we could probably be entering a long position on the next candle if it closes above the VWAP and opens above the VWAP, because it could also open below the VWAP. And so what will happen? Still pushing higher, still on the green, minute 12 remaining here. And then we have, all right, so you see that strong momentum to the downside on the Nasdaq, looking for that fractal low, and that was been hit, and that's basically where the market rebounded off of. So the market is creating that range. Is this the low of so far for this early session? Let's see. We'll find out. If the market decides to continue to push lower, or is it going to rebound and start pushing higher? Well, obviously, speculation for me is that there could be a bit more of a retracement, a bit more of a pullback. I mean, 25,000 hit, and oh yeah, So there's no really support for this around this level afterwards. So chances as so this level has been rejected. It did open gap up this candle. So could that be an indication that the market is looking to reverse? Or is it just closing that gap to continue to push lower? Actually, let's see what will happen. So pushing lower, if you do decide to push lower, obviously 24,960 and it's pushing lower. 24,960. The S&P is just wildly. The one that's really wild is the Dow. So look at that momentum. Look at that parabolic movement. Poof, sharp to the sky. So 47,000 by today. Now it's possible because we already hit, we're making new time of another all-time high, new all-time high, and continue to push higher. So 47,000, 47,000. That is gone. That's what they're going for. 47,000. I could be wrong, but hey, 47,000. Then we have nat gas, just making that move to the upside. Nice. Let me see crude oil. Oh yeah, nice parabolic movement to the upside. Since the Nasdaq is dropping, obviously there's a correlation between the Nasdaq and WTI crude oil, an inverted correlation. So Nasdaq, the crude oil pushes higher, Nasdaq pushes lower, and continuation to the drop. All right, so 24,900. That could be the support for the Nasdaq. All right, so the S&P came in and picked its head above, making a new all-time high in this time frame. Oh no, it's up here. 6756 is that new all-time high for the S&P. 6,800 could be reachable today. Let's see how much of a correction will it make. All right, the Dow is just steadily climbing strongly, and 47,000. It'll get there today. 47,000. It'll get there today. All right, nat gas power momentum to the upside being built. I mean, gold retracing, but it's just profit taking, repositioning. I think goes up and one go. All right, so silver, can it find some support around this level, 44.30? And then we have here copper as well, trending lower. It'll hit the support level probably. Ooh, Bitcoin just penetrated that floor that was made earlier, and the euro. Let's see how much more lower can it push. Pound also. Dollar index. Ooh, dollar index opened with a gap up. It's been closed. Rebound up the VWAP. Let's see how much higher will it push to 97. And we have Nasdaq here, just 24,900. That support. Okay, let's take a look at the Dow. Nice push. Ooh. Let's see how much will it get there. How soon will it get there? Okay, let's see. I will continue to push higher. Nat gas. Let's see in this momentum of gold. All right. So we didn't find a particular trade to set up initially to come in and take a look at the market. Copper continuously pushing lower. Bitcoin pushing lower. The euro recovery mode. That would have been a trade off the band, reversal of the band to the VWAP. Boom. Then the pound. See, what I'm looking for is that it'll be around where I need it to be. Dollar index. Oh shoot, dollar index open with a strong gap down. Look at that. It was close, but I think this is going to continue to push lower. So I think dollar index is about to push lower. I think it is going to just reverse this move and just continue to push lower, and then it'll come down to this double bottom here, and that happens. All of this move to the downside is going to obviously allow for the currencies to push higher. I want it to be here off the VWAP. Let's see where the VWAP on the euro will turn on. Okay, so yeah, that's right. We had done that particular trade. We could have done a particular trade on that one. So as the market pushes lower, if it does continue to push lower, we want that reversal of the band. Now, if it does pushes higher, then if this candle happens to close above the VWAP, I'll be looking to enter long, and target will be the upper band or 118.05. So we still got 2 minutes and 50 seconds for this candle to turn green and close above the VWAP, or for it to continue to push lower and then rebound off the VWAP, close above the band or inside the band, if you will, and then enter the position long. The VWAP will be our first target, second target, the psychological value of 118, and then the upper band. But we still have to wait for this thing to happen. I'm gonna stay on this. Let's see. Okay, this candle still it pushed higher because it was about here, the wick. It did push higher, so but it's holding. Oh, see that? See that? Ooh, that's strong fluctuation to the upside. Strong. That's strong fluctuation. That just, yeah, the currency just dropped. Sorry. Let's take a look at the assets. All right. So after 15 minutes, we see the opening was to the downside as speculated. It did found some support or reject on 24,940. And let's see if this is going to be the beginning of a recovery on the Nasdaq. Then we have the S&P just choppiness, holding itself steady, and then 47,000. Man, that was a great trade. That would have been, wow, that was 47,000 hit, psychological, penetrated, pulling back, done. 47,000. Wow. Okay. Then we have crude oil, just kind of sideways trading. Nat gas, still looking for it to sell. Gold, you could probably do a bit more of a retracement back into the VWAP, and so in that case, can it come down all the way to 760? Well, our first level of support is at 733. So then silver is going to continue to push lower. Copper is also pushing lower because of that fluctuation of the dollar index. And then Bitcoin recovery. The euro continuing to see. Let's see if it finds support here at 117,846. And the pound also just dropping. Let's see if 135, around 135. The dollar index parabolic movement, taking up a lot of people out, shorts out. Okay, all right, guys. Well, that'll be it for me today. Thank you for watching, and don't forget, every single day I'm on the Friday, 8 o'clock, half an hour prior to the U.S. Session Open. Happy trading. See you tomorrow.